When John Harbaugh outlined his terms, $20 million a year, full control of the roster, and a $10 million staff budget, critics were quick to call it ego. But look closer, and it's something else entirely: protection. For SHEDEUR Sanders, this isn't just a coaching hire. It's about who he becomes as a quarterback. Harbaugh isn't asking for power's sake. He's drawing a line in the sand to create a system that shields a young, gifted talent from the dysfunction that derails careers. In an NFL that often burns through potential, Harbaugh is demanding the resources to preserve it. The Browns know better than most how fragile quarterback futures can be. Their costly Deshaun Watson gamble left scars, financial, organizational, and cultural.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Harbaugh's proposal is the antidote: structure, vision, and accountability. With SHEDEUR Sanders at the center, this plan isn't about control. It's about cultivating greatness. Harbaugh's past success shows that when he's given the space to lead, quarterbacks thrive. Meeting these demands might not just change Cleveland. It could rescue its next star before he ever needs. John Harbaugh is detonating every rule in the NFL playbook, and he's doing it with a pen in one hand and SHEDEUR Sanders in the other. When reports first surfaced that Harbaugh was demanding a $20 million annual salary, heads turned. But when the full list of demands dropped, total roster control, the right to handpick his own general manager, and a $10 million staff budget, the league wasn't just shocked. It was furious. This wasn't just a coach looking for a raise. This was a full-blown power grab. Harbaugh isn't throwing numbers around for ego. These demands were strategic, purposeful. Every bullet point tied directly to one thing: the environment he wants to build for SHEDEUR Sanders. And that's when the outrage really began. Because Harbaugh wasn't trying to take this to the NFL. He wanted to coach SHEDEUR outside of it. SHEDEUR Sanders is one of the most watched young quarterbacks in years. The talent is there. The pedigree is impossible to ignore. And Harbaugh? He sees it. More importantly, he sees what it takes to turn that potential into a franchise cornerstone. His pitch isn't subtle. He wants to mold Sanders his way, with zero interference. The deal Harbaugh is asking for isn't about luxury. It's about control. The kind of control that lets a coach build a system around a player from day one. And when that player is someone like SHEDEUR, that level of investment starts to make sense. Harbaugh's entire career has been about building quarterbacks, and he's not about to take half measures. The Cleveland Browns should be paying close attention, because this is exactly the kind of structure they've never managed to build. Stability has been a foreign language in Cleveland. The front office has a long history of getting in the way, and their recent decisions have only deepened the chaos. They've swung big on desperation moves, and every time, the cost has been higher than they could afford. Harbaugh's demands highlight that failure. His conditions call out the dysfunction without saying a word. By asking for full control, he's telling the world he won't repeat the mistakes that have kept teams like Cleveland stuck in the basement. He doesn't just want to coach a team. He wants to rebuild it from the ground up. You don't have to look far to see why Cleveland should take that seriously. Just rewind to the Deshaun Watson trade. One of the most expensive, controversial quarterback acquisitions in league history. And what did it get them? Nothing but distractions, disappointment, and damage to their reputation. It was a textbook case of acting out of desperation, not strategy. Watson was supposed to be the savior. Instead, he became a symbol of how not to handle a rebuild. That trade didn't just cost them financially. It shattered trust inside the organization. Harbaugh, by contrast, is offering a plan. Yes, an expensive one, but one grounded in experience, structure, and actual football logic. And that's where Kevin Stefanski's role becomes unavoidable. He's been the face of Cleveland's latest chapter, for better or worse. But the instability has lingered through his tenure, too. Coaching turnover, shifting schemes, questionable leadership decisions. Harbaugh's demand to pick his own general manager? That's not a jab, it's a safeguard. He's watched coaches like Stefanski get swallowed by front office politics, blame for things they couldn't control. Harbaugh refuses to be that guy. He's not stepping into another dysfunctional setup. He wants a blank slate. And SHEDEUR Sanders is the... This isn't about overreach. It's about precision. Harbaugh wants the resources to build a system around SHEDEUR, not just throw him into the fire. That $10 million staff budget isn't just for headline value. It's a calculated move to assemble elite quarterback developers, coordinators, and specialists who understand what it takes to nurture a player of SHEDEUR's caliber. Harbaugh isn't betting on vibes. He's betting on infrastructure. And while the price tag may look wild at first glance, it's less about ego and more about eliminating excuses. He doesn't want to find out in Week 10 that the front office made another draft pick behind his back or hired a staffer he doesn't trust. He wants alignment. For SHEDEUR, that alignment might be everything. Quarterbacks don't just succeed on talent. They need trust. They need protection, both literal and political. If Cleveland is serious about turning the page and investing in the future, Sanders is the reason to do it. And Harbaugh is the guide. What Harbaugh sees in SHEDEUR is potential waiting to be refined. Not a finished product, not a highlight reel, but a foundation. The kind of player you build around if you do it the right way. And Harbaugh's blueprint is unapologetically. This level of planning is foreign to Cleveland. In the past, they've scrambled for quick fixes, hoping to bandage long-term problems with short-term wins. It hasn't worked. The Watson deal showed that even a splashy move means nothing without stability underneath. Harbaugh's conditions aim to reverse that pattern completely. It's not just about fixing the quarterback position. It's about changing the culture. Harbaugh doesn't want to inherit the Browns as they are. He wants to rewire them. And if that sounds extreme, that's because it has to be. Nothing short of a full teardown will get this franchise out of its rut. The ghosts of that Watson deal still haunt Cleveland. The missed games, the locker room strain, the endless PR fallout. All of it added up to the worst kind of setback, a franchise-defining mistake. Harbaugh's proposal is a direct rejection of that kind of thinking. He's not chasing headlines or big names. He's chasing results. He knows how much damage a poorly managed quarterback situation can cause. That's why he's locking down every variable before stepping in. Harbaugh's version of control isn't micromanagement. It's insulation from dysfunction, from meddling, from the same traps that ruined Cleveland's last rebuild. It also shines a spotlight on how coaching power has shifted. Stefanski's time in Cleveland has been marked by compromise. Harbaugh isn't interested in compromise. He wants autonomy, not because he's difficult, but because he's seen what works. In Baltimore, he built a quarterback around Lamar Jackson. Before that, he helped develop Joe Flacco into a Super Bowl MVP. That kind of track record earns you the right to be specific. Harbaugh isn't taking a job. He's proposing a vision. And if Cleveland is paying attention, they should be treating this like an opportunity, not an insult. The truth is, Harbaugh isn't asking for anything outrageous when you compare it to what Cleveland's already lost trying to shortcut their way to relevance. They paid a king's ransom for Deshaun Watson, tied up their cap space, absorbed nonstop public backlash, and still didn't fix anything. Harbaugh's deal may be bold, but at least it's transparent. There's no mystery in his approach. He's saying, if you want to win, give me the tools and step aside. He's not here for front office drama or legacy politics. He wants clarity, control, and a quarterback he believes in. That's not an ego trip, that's a game plan. And SHEDEUR is the linchpin. Harbaugh isn't throwing his name around casually. He's identifying a raw talent with real upside and treating him like a future franchise cornerstone. Because that's what Sanders could be, with the right system. Coaches don't fight for a player like this unless they're certain. Harbaugh's not gambling on potential. He's investing in it. He wants to be the reason SHEDEUR hits that next level, and he's willing to take on the pressure to make it happen. If anything, that kind of confidence should be exactly what a team like Cleveland is starving for. Cleveland hasn't seen this kind of organizational decisiveness in years. What they've had instead is constant turnover, inconsistent coaching, A revolving door of quarterbacks who never had the support or patience to grow. Harbaugh's proposal brings a full reset, not just in leadership, but in philosophy. The Browns have the facilities. They have the fan base. What they've never had is alignment between their front office and coaching staff. Harbaugh isn't asking to be part of the machine. He's asking to build a new one. And honestly, it's about time someone did. Because Watson was supposed to be the turning point. Cleveland's big swing to prove they were serious about winning. But the fallout only made things worse. It exposed how desperate the organization was to be taken seriously. And it backfired hard. Now they're left with a roster full of uncertainty and a fan base running low on patience. Harbaugh's conditions might seem aggressive, but they're not reactive. They're proactive. He's not responding to crisis. He's trying to prevent it. And in the aftermath of Watson, that's exactly what this team needs. It also raises questions about where Kevin Stefanski fits in all of this. His leadership hasn't been without its moments, but the results have been inconsistent. And more importantly, the control he's had has never matched the responsibility he's carried. Harbaugh's list of demands strips away any gray area. He doesn't want to play politics. He doesn't want mixed messages from the top. He's setting the terms so that if things go wrong, it's on him, and only him. That kind of accountability is rare in this league, and Cleveland should welcome it. You also have to remember, Harbaugh isn't untested. He's not some flashy college hire or flavor-of-the-month coordinator. He's a Super Bowl winning coach with years of experience navigating high-pressure environments. He knows how to win, but more importantly, he knows what makes winning sustainable. That's why he's so specific about what he needs. Every condition is a safeguard against the dysfunction he's seen take down other franchises. He's trying to create an ecosystem where the quarterback can thrive, where the coaching staff has the tools to execute, and where success doesn't rely on hope, it relies on structure. For SHEDEUR, it's a chance to walk into a fully formed plan instead of a chaotic rebuild. That's rare for any young quarterback, especially one entering a franchise with Cleveland's baggage. Harbaugh is offering something most rookies never get: stability before success. And if anyone understands how crucial that is, it's Harbaugh. He spent years developing QBs, watching how the smallest cracks in the system can derail even the most talented players. He doesn't want SHEDEUR to be another casualty of bad timing. He wants him to be the start of something, because what's on the table isn't just about winning games. It's about redefining Cleveland's identity. The Browns have been trapped in the same cycle for over a decade. One step forward, two steps back. Quarterback after quarterback, coach after coach, all chewed up by a system that refuses to evolve. Harbaugh is giving them an exit ramp. He's saying, stop patching holes and start laying bricks. His demands are the blueprint. A fresh structure with a clear hierarchy, a defined vision, and a quarterback at the center of it all. This is how you stop surviving and start building. Look at what happened when they didn't do that. The Watson trade wasn't just a misstep, it was a cautionary tale. The kind of move that shakes a franchise's confidence from the inside out. They were supposed to be past the chaos, but that one decision dragged them right back in. Harbaugh sees that. He knows what happens when short-term desperation overrides long-term planning. That's why every part of his offer is preemptive. He's not here to put out fires. He's here to stop them from starting in the first place. And after the Watson era, that alone should be worth the price. So the question becomes, does Cleveland have the courage to say yes? Because this won't be a quiet change. Bringing in Harbaugh under these terms means dismantling the way they've operated for years. It means giving up control to gain clarity. And yes, it means moving on from what hasn't worked, even if it's familiar. Kevin Stefanski is steady. He's been a part of the recent highs and the frustrating lows. But Harbaugh isn't asking to join Stefanski's world. He's offering to replace it. To clean the slate, rebuild the staff, and install a system where SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just protected. What makes this entire situation more explosive is how public it's become. Harbaugh isn't leaking his demands quietly through back channels. The details are out there, and that's intentional. He wants the league to know he's not here to negotiate tradition. He's setting the standard. And if teams can't meet it, he's fine walking away. This puts enormous pressure on Cleveland, not just from a football standpoint, but from a PR one too. If they reject Harbaugh's terms, it tells fans they're still clinging to the old way. The same formula that hasn't worked in decades. But if they say yes, it signals that the Browns are finally ready to let go of the past and bet on something, someone, with real vision. SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just a quarterback prospect. He's become the axis of a high-stakes tug-of-war over what modern football development should look like. Harbaugh isn't just offering to coach him. He's promising to build the entire system around him. And that's rare. Most rookies enter the NFL and are expected to adapt to a chaotic mess around them. SHEDEUR, if this deal goes through, would walk into a team designed to help him succeed. Not forced into a broken scheme. Not asked to carry a franchise on fire. That kind of foundation is the difference between becoming a superstar and becoming a Cleveland's recent years read like a case study in what happens when you ignore foundational problems. The roster's been overhauled. The coaching staff reshuffled. Front office roles have blurred into each other. It's been motion without movement. Harbaugh's proposal is a gut punch to that whole approach. It says, this isn't working. Burn it down and start over. But do it right this time. The Browns have tried to microwave a championship. Harbaugh wants to slow cook one, starting with SHEDEUR at the center. And that's the haunting shadow that still follows them. Deshaun Watson. The trade, the backlash, the fallout. It wasn't just a football miscalculation. It showed how far Cleveland was willing to go to look like they were trying. But optics and results are not the same. Now, Harbaugh's terms offer an alternate path. Not a flashy acquisition to win headlines, but a structural change to win games. This isn't about repairing what's broken with duct tape. It's about replacing the pipes entirely. After Watson, they don't just need a fix. They need credibility. And that credibility might require letting go of familiar faces. Kevin Stefanski has been a stabilizer in a storm, but even stability can become stagnation. Harbaugh doesn't want to inherit a staff. He wants to choose every name on the door. That includes the general manager. That includes coordinators. It's non-negotiable. For Cleveland to say yes, they'd have to accept that. This isn't about tweaking what's already in place. It's a teardown. Stefanski's system hasn't worked with the quarterbacks he's been handed, and Harbaugh's entire pitch is about not repeating that failure with. The timeline matters too. Harbaugh isn't offering a 5-year plan. He wants results, but only if the groundwork is solid. He's not asking for blind trust. He's showing his track record. Super Bowl wins. Quarterback development. Culture building. His resume speaks for itself. But so do his boundaries. The league is watching. Owners are furious because Harbaugh is changing the conversation from what's reasonable to what's effective. His demands don't just shake up contract norms. They challenge the balance of power between coaches and front offices. And in this case, he's daring Cleveland to break the mold. And that's what this really boils down to. How much are the Browns willing to sacrifice to get it right this time? SHEDEUR Sanders is the kind of player who can define a generation for a franchise. But talent alone isn't enough. Development is everything. Harbaugh isn't just betting on Sanders. He's building a fortress around him. The full control, the staff budget, the GM pick, it's all insulation. From chaos. From mismanagement. From being the next almost quarterback lost in a cycle of. Cleveland has had talented players before. They've had moments of promise. But none of it stuck because there was never a unified structure. Coaches changed, schemes shifted, and players were left to adapt to instability. Harbaugh is saying enough. Give me the reins or find someone else to keep losing your way. The Browns are at a tipping point. Harbaugh's demands aren't just about Sanders. They're about Cleveland's identity. Are they still the team that fumbles potential? Or are they ready to become a place where quarterbacks are built instead of broken? Deshaun Watson wasn't just a bad trade. It was a loud announcement that Cleveland was willing to mortgage everything for a shortcut. And shortcuts don't build dynasties. They build headlines that age badly. The aftermath hasn't just been poor performance, it's been a total loss of trust. Harbaugh's plan is expensive, yes, but it's honest. No smoke, no mirrors, just a blueprint for winning built on lessons from actual experience. And that's something Cleveland hasn't tried. Not really. They've spent money, sure, but they haven't committed to vision. And maybe that's why this feels so controversial, because it forces hard choices. Harbaugh won't compromise with a half measure. Either they give him what he needs, or they walk away. There's no in-between. That kind of ultimatum terrifies NFL owners, especially ones who like to micromanage from the top. But if you've been paying attention to the Browns, micromanagement is exactly what's failed them. If they want to build around SHEDEUR Sanders the right way, they can't treat Harbaugh like another name on the payroll. They have to let him lead, fully. Harbaugh isn't just testing Cleveland. He's daring them to evolve. Every demand he's made peels back a layer of the dysfunction that's quietly rotted this team from the inside out. Total control, GM authority, staff budget. He's targeting the exact places where the Browns have historically failed. This isn't stubbornness. It's strategic demolition. If Cleveland says yes, it's not just agreeing to pay a coach. It's agreeing to burn down the old blueprint. And let's be honest, that old blueprint never worked. Harbaugh wants to rip out the foundation, not repaint the walls. And SHEDEUR Sanders? He's the reason you do it. There's a reason Harbaugh isn't chasing another veteran QB or trying to revive a burnt-out arm. He wants SHEDEUR because there's still time to do it right. To shape a player before the league does. Before the pressure, the politics, and the pundits can tear him down. He sees the ceiling. He knows the stakes. And he's demanding the kind of system where a young quarterback can actually grow without being blamed for the mess around him. That's what SHEDEUR deserves. That's what Harbaugh is. The Browns can't afford another half-hearted reset. The fans know it. The locker room knows it. Everyone's seen this movie too many times, and the ending never changes. They've tried to piece things together, tape over the cracks, spin bad moves into talking points. It hasn't worked. This is the moment they either make the same mistake again, or they don't. Harbaugh isn't offering a guarantee, but he is offering accountability, vision, direction. And for once, that might be worth more than another blockbuster trade or front office reshuffle. Look at how fast things unraveled with Watson. The hype, the price tag, the promises, it all collapsed under the weight of bad planning and worse leadership. The fan base is still picking up the pieces. The organization is still bleeding trust. Harbaugh's plan may come with demands, but at least it comes with clarity. And if that's what it takes to protect SHEDEUR Sanders and finally build a winner in Cleveland, isn't it worth the risk? So what do you think? Should the Browns hand over the keys and let Harbaugh drive? Or are they about to let another shot at redemption pass them by? If you're ready to see how this saga unfolds, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed, because this story is far from over.